Stephen Totillo of GameFile just reported that Call of Duty has such a massive development budget, it's almost shocking to take a look at. I have never seen anything like this before. He writes in this article on GameFile, Call of Duty's massive development budgets revealed. $700 million for Black Ops Cold War. The biggest development budget ever disclosed by a game company, buried in a court filing, but found by GameFile, along with updated sales figures. The budget for big video games, according to Steve, his writing, are among the most closely guarded secrets in the gaming industry. So it is surprising that late last month, an Activision executive spelled out the development costs for 3 of the games in the company's best-selling Call of Duty franchise. In a court filing reviewed by GameFile that has not been previously reported, Patrick Kelly, Activision's current head of creative on the Call of Duty franchise, said that 3 Call of Duty games released between 2015 and 2020 cost $450 to $700 million to make. The disclosed totals are the highest development costs ever reported by a major video game company, and the top just about anything that has ever leaked or been estimated by analysts. By comparison, the poorly redacted court filing in 2023, Sony pegged the development cost of the company's marquee 2020 game, The Last of Us Part 2, at around $220 million. The number was considered huge when it leaked. So they've been spending this money for as far back as almost a decade ago. Here are the Call of Duty development costs from Kelly's filing, which GameFile has reviewed. Black Ops 3, Treyarch developed the game over 3 years, the creative team of hundreds of people, and invested over $450 million in development costs over the game's lifecycle. Kelly also disclosed that it sold 43 million copies. Hold on, let's just run some numbers out here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's kind of see what the ROI looks like. So 43 million, right? Times 60. Whoo! All right, they got their money back. I'm good. They Gucci. Modern Warfare 2019. Infinity Ward developed the game over several years and spent over $650 million in development costs, the game's life cycle, and it sold about 41 million copies. Wow, they got their money back. Black Ops Cold War 2020, Treyarch and Ravensoft Software took years to create the game with a team of hundreds of creatives. They ultimately spent over $700 million in development costs over the game's life cycle. 30 million copies sold. Wow, that one, they got less money for what they spent on it. The above breakdown is based on a declaration from Kelly filed to a court in California on December 23rd. It's part of Activision's response to a lawsuit filed against the company last May regarding the 2022 issue in Uvalde, Texas. Yeah, that one hits close to home. That's crazy, ladies and gentlemen, that these companies can spend this much money on these games. Can you imagine if these games don't sell? Like, you know, if anything were to just happen, do you know the amount, do you know the sunk cost that you're going to find in this particular issue? It's going to be crazy. This is where I told y'all that Xbox's management is going to be called heavily into question now that they have all these IPs in their hands. Because if they don't manage them well, it's going to be rough. It's going to be super rough for them to be able to go ahead and just risk anything just like that. Now, keep in mind, it makes money for everybody. PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, everybody. Everybody gets money out of it. But you can also see why it was very compelling for Xbox to get their hands on it and pretty much go ahead and acquire and cop it. I think these are very interesting numbers, and they really do tend to that reality right now that at the end of the day, when you kind of go ahead and think about it, it was such a valuable IP, but it's still an expensive one to create for and to make sure that you're selling. It's profitable. Don't get me wrong. Like that one that sold, the one that they developed for $450 million, that sold 2.5 billion, almost $3 billion. Yeah, that is a good ROI. That's a wonderful ROI. Yeah, put your cost and everything in there. It's still a magnificent ROI. There are many, many studios that can't see that kind of money, for decades. And they make it in like a year. And then they'll go ahead and make more and more and more copies. And, they'll sell more and more copies. And then what's even crazy is older copies of the game will continue to sell as time goes on. I think this is probably another reason why we haven't seen the old Call of Duty games on services like Game Pass all jumped, just basically get thrown in. It's insane. And you know what's crazy though? Here's a crazy, idea in terms of this whole conversation. If this particular title called Call of Duty, right? If it's still making its money, making its keep, selling its 20, 30 million copies, right? And still making its way into Game Pass and is still being able to improve and increase and draw attraction to bring in subscribers for Game Pass. That's going to be wild. Like, does that make sense? That's going to be insane. Or if, say, somebody were to substitute paying for the game and then just subscribing to Game Pass, that also creates it just creates an entire favorable situation for Xbox. It's not foolproof, obviously, but it's a favorable situation at the end of the day. But again, this is the second edge of the sword, where if they do not manage this very well, it's insane. Someone pointed this article out to me on the channel. Shout out to you. I even went ahead and I was like, man, I'm certain that these development costs are probably the culprit. And Steven himself responded to me and said $700 million does not include marketing costs. Because Activision at one point, I don't know if you guys remember, for Destiny, they spent about $500 million for just the marketing of Destiny. Destiny's marketing budget was insane. And so I was thinking to myself, perhaps, this is definitely within their pipeline at the end of the day. No. They went ahead and they blew $500 million on Destiny when the marketing came into perspective. That is wild. That is wild. That this is the kind of money that they can spend in marketing a single game or even in development and so on and so forth. Bungie denied that it's an accurate number. Development time is the largest money sink. You're paying staff over 2 years to create a custom engine, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I take that back. Well, okay, $500 million over a 5-year development period. So that's about how much the game cost them in terms of development. So they basically spent that kind of money even way back then on the development of another game like Destiny. So again, Activision has always been heavy spenders. Their expenses are insane to be able to achieve what they achieve. That's just all wild. I think Wikipedia also has that. Okay, let's look again at this. So Medium here, I'm trying to go ahead and verify these numbers. 2014 is Motley Fool was also citing. Anyways, $500 million went somewhere to get Destiny out the door. Development and marketing, or marketing without development. The numbers are all over the place. If we had to go ahead and sit down and filter it out, probably take a little bit of time. I'm open to doing that, but in context of this video, let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.